Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to our first episode of Mimosas in the Morning in 2019. I'm Leslie.
And I'm Holly.
And I'm Iris.
Iris works with us. She's actually our boss at Military Home Base. So today what we wanted to do is get with you all and let you answer some questions that we've seen online regarding PCS time, because everyone's starting to get orders or at least know where they're going, so we're all looking.
And seeing the traffic going, right? Seeing it on our Facebook page.
So we want to sit there and make you understand what we can do for you, answer the questions, and be here and realize how accessible it is to reach Military Home Base and get real answers to your questions. So
we're doing scenarios today.
Exactly. And these are questions that we found online. A lot of people who are asking about the PCS season.
So what we get sent to us, we've gotten some questions sent to us. We have friends ask questions. And so
we are not realtors, this Leslie and Holly,
she is.
but Iris is. So we figured today the best way to bring out the new year is trying to answer some of those questions that came our way or we've seen on Facebook and have our expert Iris Green answer them.
And one thing I would like to throw out, I want to throw it over to Iris, because Military Home Base has only been in existence now since August of this past
September.
September.
Yeah, 4 months.
Yeah, 4 months. And so Iris can tell you what Military Home Base has been able to do for our vets and our active duty military community who have already gone through our services.
So I was kind of shocked by these numbers too. I knew we were saving our veteran military families a lot of money. I did not realize until we got final numbers this morning, we have saved in just 4 months our service members and veterans almost $100,000 in their home purchases and sales. That's a lot of money, $100,000, and we're hoping to triple that this year. Remember that when a customer works with us, not only are they helping us employ additional military spouses, but they're also should feel confident that we do have their best interests at heart and we are going to get them the best deals possible.
So this morning, we were in Tampa, it was a little overcast. So I think that Iris and I are feeling a little cold.
Just a little bit.
And then Leslie's feeling a little warm.
I'm feeling like it's a beautiful day here.
But normally we do our mimosas, but I did coffee this morning because I knew that Iris was going to talk about
Let me
what
see
we're
that.
doing
What does it say?
And so it says, all things are possible to who believe. And of course, we believe in Iris, we believe in our company, which is Military Home Base.
Yeah.
And then we're a little sped off with mimosas in the morning, our vlogging.
Well, it's a lifestyle, and that's what we, that's the one thing that we all have as military families, spouses, veterans. We are a unique community. We have different needs. We have different experiences, and I think that's something that we bring to the table. And what to realize, yes, as many of you all know who follow us, we are based out of Tampa.
Yep.
But our network is nationwide. You don't have to be PCSing to McDill to get the kind of service and the different products that we offer.
And even our coworkers who are, right now, the orders are kind of floating.
Yeah, we have a couple of girls that have orders that they're expecting.
Well, we have Kleenex moments.
Yeah. But
we're happy for them.
One of the beautiful things when we hire a military spouse, we always want to create a job that he or she can take with them when they go. So that's kind of been one of the key factors in developing our company is remembering the military spouse and the quality and the talent that our military spouses have, and honor that by making sure that they can take their career with them when they leave.
And they'll be able to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere. Okay, so let's get down to business. Let's get to our scenarios.
This is
This is
business.
business.
How do you know
We're getting
what
serious. So a scenario. Say that my husband and I are, wanting to buy our next duty station. So we've always rented. It's that time, we feel comfortable, and we want to buy. And the BHA in the area might be around, like, say, 200,000. But for us to stay in a range that we feel comfortable, we only want to go like maybe 190, maybe 200,000. No, it's not that. So what advice would you give if someone comes to you saying this to you?
So one of the things that's interesting is I see this question pop up a lot in the online forums, in the MilSpouse forums, in the real estate forums, and the reality is every market is different. Every market is different, and then within that market, there may be differences. So based on the age of the home, based on whether it's a two-story versus a single story, those are all going to affect your numbers. So there's two numbers that are important to when you're shopping. One is your monthly payment, and one is the purchase price. Most of us as military families are not expecting to live in the house until we pay it off. We're not. In that instance, the monthly payment tends to be the most important piece because you have a budget, you live on a monthly budget,
Absolutely.
and a lot of us live month to month on what we or our husbands make. So what I would tell you is, and I know this sounds like a little bit of a cop-out answer, it's best to trust a real estate expert in that market, not to ask it online, because some factors to consider, one, interest rates. Those are based on credit. We don't know what your credit is, your lender will. And insurance may be different in Florida than it is in California. Well, it probably is a lot.
We all know about Florida
It's
insurance.
very different.
Taxes, if you're looking at taxes in New Jersey are going to be crazy more than taxes in Florida. So there's some very, very specific, area-specific things that need to be taken into consideration. And then you also have to look at the market and how fast it's moving in that area and whether it's a buyer's or a seller's market. So on the plus side, we do have a realtor network. They're all military affiliated realtors nationwide. So if you do have a market specific question like that, we can connect you with someone who can provide that answer.
In your area.
Yeah.
Okay, so big question here. It's something I learned. My husband and I actually bought 2 houses and sold them. And I never really paid attention at that time until I started working for Military Home Base. The preference of a VA home loan company, like dealing with the VA.
Picking a
Know what
lender.
they're doing.
it.
Picking
Yes.
a lender.
Yeah,
Okay.
picking a lender. High five. She got my jumble.
So most lenders offer VA loans. VA loan is a product. It is not a lender. The
Okay.
VA guarantees up to a certain amount in each market. And it may be different. So for example, in Monterey County, California, the cap is $652,000. Here in our area of Tampa Bay, it's approximately $454,000. It's all reflective on what homes sell for. I would say when you're shopping for a VA loan, it's important for you to remember, number one, they're going to pull your credit every time. It's a soft pull, so it shouldn't affect it.
I'm gonna stop you there.
It's
Because
one
that,
soft point. Yeah,
yes,
what-
that right there is a big deal. Because I'm the dum-dum too. Well, I should say
No,
dum-dum,
you're
right?
No, you're not.
I thought that, oh my God, every time that they pull your credit, that affects you. So you don't want to do that. And you see this all over.
Yeah.
That's a, what word should I use? Like, it's
It's a scary thing.
Misconception.
It's a misconception,
Yeah, there
yeah.
you go. That happens. So you're saying that's not true.
That's not true in all cases. What I would say is pick a lender and get started. It's not a bad thing to shop your loan. However, know that in shopping your loan, if you're on the cusp of a credit tier, it could push you over. So it could affect it, but very minimally.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing it's important to know is you're going to see all these lenders offer special interest rates. What they don't tell you is you may be paying for that. So what you want to do is when you find a lender, you ask them for a good faith estimate. If you have additional lenders that you're interested in, get a good faith estimate from them and compare them side by side and look apples to apples. There's 2 rates that show up on that paper. There's the interest rate, which we all know interest rate is huge. Most lenders offer competitive rates. And then the other is the cost of the loan. That's the one that tells you how that lender is making their money. And what's great is we partnered with the Delbro team at eMortgage Management, and they're very transparent. They say, send us what you've got. We'll take a look at it. If we can beat it, we'll beat it. And if we can't, we can't. I think I've only ever had it happen with them once or twice where they couldn't beat it. One was because the other lender made a mistake, but they agreed to honor it. And the other was, it was a builder, and there were just such massive incentives that it was in the best interest of the customer to go through
That leads me to our next scenario.
Okay.
Building versus buying. Give us some insight on that, because
That's a big question.
It's a very big question, right? And it's kind of broad, and I left it there. So
Yeah.
you can go for it.
So when I say building versus buying, when I'm talking about timelines and costs, I'm going to talk primarily about Hillsborough County because that's my area. Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco, Polk County, that's where I work.
And that's all
Manatee
here in
County.
Tampa.
Yeah, that's here in Tampa. There's some of this that is universal though. So for example, if you know what you want and you can't find it on the market or there's not inventory, then it makes sense to build if you have the time. It generally takes about 6 to 8 months to build a property. In Hillsborough County, it takes about 2 months to get it through permitting right now, just because of the amount of construction we have. Every market is going to be a little bit different. Hey, Sonia, how are you? So it's important to remember that building takes time. Not all builders are created equal. And we as realtors know which ones we like to work with and why. And it's not always about the dollars and cents. It can be about the quality. It can be about a lot of different things. When you're building, it's really easy to go over budget.
Because you
Because
see
they
the
have
shiny.
They take you to that design center, and the cash register starts ringing, and those numbers go up fast. So I always tell my customers when they build, do your structurals first. Do your structurals first, because those are things you can't change. If you want an extra bathroom downstairs, put in the extra bathroom now, because it's going to be way more expensive to do it post-construction, and you won't get that money back on resale, usually.
Can I throw something out on
Sure,
that?
yeah, absolutely.
I've bought 3 houses.
Mhm.
And what I did here is the fact there was very little at the time on the market. Mind you, it's pretty saturated, I would think, right now, give or take. But
Depends on the price point, but
right.
yes.
So what we had to do in our 4 days for house hunting, which is something else I know that a lot of us have to deal with, we found it was a builder, it was a spec home where they had done the upgrades, they had done that kind of thing, but it was already done. But it was new construction.
Yes.
So that is something, especially in areas like ours where there's a huge building boom and new neighborhoods going up. That is another option for a newer home.
Yeah.
But then I think that there's some people in my neighborhood, certain builders, where 2 years later they've been having significant issues.
So one of the things I always recommend, and there's a misconception that you don't need a home inspection on a new construction. That is so not true. No matter what the price point is, go through the expense. The cheap comes out expensive. If you cut corners at the beginning, you're going to pay for it later one way or the other. I've had new construction, 4,000 square foot house. It was not an inexpensive house, where the interior of the cabinets collapsed right after the customer
Oh my
moved in.
gosh.
Yeah, I had another one where the subcontractor, because remember, builders use subcontractors. And when you're in an area that's building really quickly, they're all sharing subcontractors, or they're hiring people that perhaps are not at the top of their game. So they had actually had some where they stomped the roof vents. Well, how many of you guys would go on your roof
Oh my gosh.
to check it? No, I wouldn't. Like, why would I think I would even need to do that? But an inspector should.
Now, if you're getting a VA loan on a home like that, now, do they still require the inspection for a VA loan?
There is no inspection requirement for VA.
Really?
There is not an inspection.
If I remember,
something to learn.
There's that's another misconception, is that the appraisal will protect you, and the reality is not really. An appraisal is an opinion of value. It's an art, not a science. And I can tell you, I personally sit in on all of the appraisals for my listings, and I have sometimes attended them. When I first started, I would attend them for my buyers as well, so I could learn the process. That was about 7 years ago. And I was shocked at my first VA appraisal, because there were water stains all over the ceiling, and not once did he look up. That roof needed to be replaced. Now, my customer knew it. It wasn't a secret, but I was shocked that the VA appraiser never once looked up.
Wow.
So how's that for a little scary? And some of them, I've had them to be in the house for less than 10 minutes.
So there you're also looking to, you have to have a realtor that has your best interest in
Yeah.
mind. And we'll double check and triple check to make sure that you're getting the best value when you're selling, both ways, selling or buying, which is something that we do, that you're going to get the best opportunity to make money, break even, whatever it is that your goal is at the time.
Well,
So
so that's
this
measure profit or
happens-
saving.
So if something like this happens, another question that we get a lot is, can you back out? Can you back out of that offer? Like, even though they did not do that inspection, is you someone who, I mean, honestly, you said he knew that there was water stains. Red flags would be going off everywhere. Would you back out? Can you do that?
So that is a market-specific question. Every state has its own rules governing the contract. I can only speak to what happens here in Florida. And I can tell you on an as-is contract, if it's within the inspection period, yes, they can back out and get your earnest money back. If you're outside of the inspection area, well, that's a different story, and that would be something we would have to look at on a case by case.
Right. So here's another scenario that I know happens a lot, because when we're looking for homes, I did not realize there was a realtor app until just recently.
Oh, yes.
Did not know. Did you know
Everybody
there's a
has an app
realtor?
now. There's tons of apps.
Realtor app.
Even we have one coming. So
Yeah,
there
we
you
have
go.
one launching this year.
And that's how I found out. And they were, really? All this app? This is really a great thing. Well, people look in those apps, but then they see houses that sit on the market like 100+ days.
Okay.
Okay, is that a red flag? Is that scary, or is that
No.
something you can kind of?
Could that be pricing? Could it be?
There's a lot of things that could be. So it could be that there's a tenant in the home that doesn't want to move, and so they block showings.
Okay.
The house may be fantastic, but the tenant doesn't want to move. So they make showing difficult. It could be that the owner, the seller, is making showings difficult. Maybe they work from home and they need to have a secured, quiet place to work during the week.
That makes
And so they
sense.
only allow showings in the evenings and weekends. It could be that the house is overpriced and they're slowly marking it down, or maybe it's overpriced and the seller can't afford to come down. There's a lot of reasons a home can be sitting for a long time. It shouldn't scare you away.
So they should do some research.
But that's your realtor
I think
too.
your realtor needs to do the research. So for example, we in our MLS can go in and we can see the history of the property. So we can see previous property disclosures if they were uploaded. So we can see if there was something going on there. We can see if it started at 300,000 and was just marked down last week to 240,000. Well, that's a big difference. That tells me it was overpriced to begin with, in which case it was probably on the market because of the price. Yeah.
So one of the biggest questions, so that because we don't want to carry on, we got to do some more because there's also so many questions every day,
Yeah, we can
right?
do this all day.
All day long, and then you would be like really bored. The biggest one is right now, because you are thinking, because you're moving to the next duty station, I need to find a realtor.
Yes.
And one of the biggest questions is how? What are the things that people should look at? Should it just be, oh, my friend Susie Sue recommends, and I just go with that person?
Or what do we do to make that process easier?
Exactly.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you the process we go through when we select a realtor to partner with. That's the same method that I would probably use when choosing, as a military family, choosing a realtor. The first thing we ask is, are they military affiliated? And the reason we ask that is because we want to make sure they understand the PCS process and the complications that accompany it, right? And we want somebody that can be empathetic, not sympathetic. So that's number one. Number two, we want to know how many transactions they've done in the last year. And we want to know if they're a full-time realtor. I know there are a lot of part-time realtors, and it's great when they're able to do that. However, I know when I'm PCSing into a new area, I need that realtor to be available anytime during the day. I need them to be available to sit my inspections. I need them to be available to sometimes assist to make sure repairs were done, so they can go take a picture and send it to me. There's a lot of good reasons to have a full-time realtor. And I want to know how many transactions they've done last year, because I want to know what their experience is. That doesn't mean that new realtors shouldn't be trusted to do the job. Sometimes they're better than the veteran or more experienced realtors, but that tells me I need to ask more questions. And then one of the things that we do is we ask, are you on a team? If you're on a team, we want to know who's actually touching this customer, who's actually helping this customer. Because if it's a team leader who is not military affiliated and is also operating 75 listings, yeah, they're probably not going to be in a position to give you 100% of their attention. So we vet the realtors ahead of time to make sure that they're in a position to give you the level of service that you need. And then we'll come back to you and say, oh, by the way, Mr. BA buyer, how are things going with your realtor? Are you happy with the way things are going? And we'll, even afterwards, how was your experience? What do you recommend that realtor could do to improve service to you? So that piece is very, very important to us.
Absolutely.
Oh, and know that in some of the neighborhood pages, a lot of the neighborhood pages, there are networking groups where they've agreed to promote each other. So just because somebody's promoted does not always mean they've used the service. I have seen some of those on some of the military pages.
Well, and it's not just that. It's not just, our military pages that some of us use, to resource. There are people who run businesses that run those as under the guise of that, yes, we are, we're gonna help you move, but what they're really gonna do is they're gonna sit there and go, I'm your realtor and I'm gonna fund your house.
Well, and some of them will say, oh, realtors, this is a whole other can. Yeah.
No,
got
next
the
week
one
we'll be in our
back.
office.
Our new office is
We don't usually do this on Wednesday because they cut the grass.
Okay.
We're gonna wrap it up here. This is what happens when things go live, right?
Okay, there we go.
Yes, and they're still cutting grass in January.
Yeah.
So,
So know that when realtors, or when people go in and they are a realtor, they have a real estate license, they can be paid a referral fee for sending you, somebody online, to a realtor in their network. And it's true, Military Home Base does that as well. However, our referral fee is extremely small because most of the money goes back to the customer. And that's kind of what.
I like it
this is
because we're
different.
honest.
Well, I mean, transparency is
Yeah.
key.
Yeah.
It's a very, it's the most expensive purchase you'll probably ever make,
Mhm.
is a house.
well, and that, and the fact, and like we said, we understand what you're going through. What good is it gonna be to us as we build this business
Yep.
if we're not authentic? If we're not
Yep.
giving you the best
Mhm.
experience, the best savings. And that's what you can expect with Military Home Bases. The second you contact us, you have most likely Holly.
You're gonna contact me.
Yeah, probably.
You get to
not.
talk to
And I'm
Holly.
brutally honest.
And, she is honest.
I am very honest. I can't work for
And
anybody
that's
who's
a
not
very
honest.
good thing. And,
Ethics.
and we're
Yeah,
gonna make sure
means a lot.
that everything goes to the best of our abilities. And that's the thing, when you buy a house, there's always going to be little
Challenges.
challenges. That's a good way. I was trying to
Yeah,
come up
there's
with the right
challenges.
word.
No transaction is exactly the same. So I would just say it's great to get other people's experiences, but know that no two transactions are alike, and their
Yep.
experience is more than likely not going to be your experience as far as the transaction itself. The service level, definitely. I mean, it should be the same if they're referring somebody. So,
Well, one thing else, if they're getting orders,
yes.
they should contact us
Yeah.
now and
Yep.
start the process and find out what you need to do, where your finances need to be. We can help you be ready.
Yes, so what would happen is you would go to www.militaryhomebase.com, and you could either click on the link that says that you're a customer,
Yep.
or you can click on the Apply Now link. We are going to get you in contact with a lender who is a VA expert.
Yep.
They will give you a pre-approval once they've verified all your documents, pulled credit, and all of this
Does
stuff.
not mean that you're locked in on anything.
No, it doesn't.
But
Um,
it saves the realtor a new time because you know that you're not, why go look at a $400,000 home
Exactly.
when you can't afford a $4,000 home?
Exactly, and you want that lender to tell you what your monthly payment is, so that you know
This is what you need to
how
know.
it's going to fit into your budget. And the pre-approval, by the way, is what our lenders do. Is more powerful than a pre-qualification. There's a lot of big banks that deal with the military. You can go online and get a pre-qualification. It's kind of not worth the paper it's written on because nothing's been verified. It's
Here
That's
comes
a
the
biggie.
mower again.
I know, I'm so
It's on a
sorry.
second slip.
And this is really not in her yard. Just
It's
so you
not
know.
in my yard, it's in my community. I live in an HOA community. There you go.
Yes,
Cut the
that's-
grass. That's another.
Another
HOA.
question,
Yeah,
HOA and CDDs, we can cover
yeah.
that another
And
time.
well, if they go onto our blog, I actually
Yeah.
did a blog
Yeah,
regarding
yeah,
HOA.
we did.
So that's something that you can read on. It gives you a little thing about good, bad, and ugly.
And they cut on Wednesday. Didn't even think about that. Because we normally do this on Tuesday.
Okay, so I would say if you think of any other questions that you have, you can always go on our Facebook and message us those questions. We will get them answered. If we don't know the answer, we're going to tell you, you know what? I don't know the answer to that. We haven't been asked that. Let me find out, and we will find out and
Yeah,
get back
yes.
to you.
Every answer.
Yeah.
Because I'm learning too, and I love that. I love when I don't know something. We will investigate together. So on that note, remember that Military Home Base is bringing you home one base at a time. We'll be in our new office.
And we'll see you on
Next week,
Tuesday.
yeah.
Back on Tuesday.
Tuesday on office with no lawnmowers going at
No.
all. And drinking mimosas instead of my coffee.
Have a
Thanks for
wonderful
joining
week.
us.